Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Um, I'm Coach Chris Facey. Um, I have to say thank you to Mr. Owen for that wonderful introduction. Most of the stuff that he says is actually pretty flattering. But I'm just an easygoing person. I believe in the philosophy that you only can get out what you put in. And so that is where my drive and my motivation comes from. At first, it started out just trying to do the best for my two girls, and then realizing and being cognizant of what happens out there in track and field world, it became a passion to just basically try to not only educate the athletes, but coaches and parents as well. So a lot of times, every opportunity I get, I talk with Jack a lot. Whosoever will listen, I talk track, right? So I'm supposed to be basically talking about the athletic program. I'm going to be uncharacteristically briefed today because I just don't think that it's something that we need to lament. You're here because, you already kind of see a difference in where you were before and what you want for your kid, and you obviously think that we can basically offer you some improvement in that regard. All right, so our track program is very systematic in the sense that there are phases. We have a general prep phase, we have a specific prep phase, we have a pre-competition phase, and we have a main competition phase. So there are really 4 phases. And based on the phase that you're in, you're going to be doing certain things. If you're in general prep phase, if you came here in November or December, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between a sprinter or a middle distance because we're doing general strength and conditioning. It's just general prep to be able to take on the rigors of what you're going to be required to do as a sprinter, as a middle distance, and as a distance runner, right? Before I get into that, just a little background. I am an engineer, mechanical engineer by profession. I have my USA track and field level 2 in the sprints and in the hurdles. Subsequent to that, I got a USA track and field level 3 in youth development specialization, in addition to IAAF level 5 youth specialization. Why that is important? Youth. It's a total. You see kids out there doing things that elite athletes are doing, and there is a difference. There is a difference. So I'm just trying to keep everything open. If there are certain things that you see me doing out here, you might think, oh, you're not doing that. Can she better from that? We're going through the stages of development. For example, if you have Jakayla, she's 6 years old or 7 years old. She's in phase 1. Stage 1 or stage 2. Stage 1 is just active start. Stage 2 is just fundamental. Right? Brianna might be in stage 3 going on stage 4, which is more learning how to train. She's just learning how to train. Then there's training to train. Then there's training to compete. There are different things that you do in different developmental stage. And it is paramount to the athlete recognizing their true potential. Accomplishing our goal, getting to that genetic ceiling. Everybody has a genetic ceiling, right? So at certain stage, you will realize that we're just doing motor skill learning. You got to learn the motor skill. If you can skip, which teaches you how to recover your leg quickly underneath your body, you're probably not going to sprint very fast. So instead of having a 5, 6, 7, 9, 10-year-old doing 100 intervals at 90%, 2-minute rest and this crazy stuff, we're just developing up motor skills. Learning how to skip, learning how to hop, learning the proper movement, correcting all those movement dysfunction. If you will recall, the first day we did what we call our movement assessment screening. Even today when we're doing our test, I still see some of those dysfunctions. Doesn't make sense you're out there, you're running. It doesn't make sense you upgrade. You could put the biggest engine in your car. If you have 4 flat tires, there's only so far you're going to go. So a lot of us right now at this stage, we're operating on flat, deflated, or unbalanced or imbalanced tires. And that's kind of like the general concept. So we build from the ground up. All right. Another philosophy is a chain is as strong as its weakest link. So if you have a weak link in the chain, right, you have to focus on getting that link stronger, right? So what you'll see a lot of one-on-one, particularly with either Jakayla. It's either Coach Lee or myself. The Nikis who are a little bit more advanced because she's just been here, she's just a fast learner. Sometimes I'll have her help with a little, she works well with Bree. But there are times when we'll get really specific also with Bree and just make sure that certain things are being correctly performed. But in general, you will notice that it's not about, I hear this a lot from parents like, oh, my kid is with this track club, but they only focus on the fast kids. You'll probably think that it's the opposite here, but it's really not the opposite, because I don't really want you to think at the same time that because your kid is good, your kid is being neglected also. But we try to basically get that chain as strong as possible. So we definitely focus on, and another analogy I like to do is if I'm doing 5 subjects in school and I'm really poor at math, I'm probably going to be working on my math a lot more than I'm working on the English that I'm getting an A in. So we tend to try to just deal with the athlete a little bit more one-on-one who needs to get up to a certain point. All right? So we're going to just don't think that your kid in any sense of the way is being ignored. For the bigger kids, don't feel as if we don't love you anymore and we're just focusing on the smaller kids. All right? So it's just important to kind of get that out. So back to general prep. We have concluded our general prep phase. It doesn't mean that for the younger kids or the kids that just recently started that we're just going to automatically progress you and you're going to be in specific or you're going to be in pre-competition. That's why the resources, we're shorting on resources, but we have to be efficient with the resources. That's why you see Coach Lee coming out on a Saturday and he's just making sure that, hey, let me work with this athlete so we can get the specific help that we need, all right, to move on. We're at the stage with the bigger kids right now where we're actually pre-competition. We're still a little bit behind the 8 ball, all right, but because we're competing next week. So technically speaking, we should be in pre-competition, but we're really in specific prep phase still. But again, we have a lot of time, right? Don't expect that your kid is going to go out there on the first meet and you're just going to be a world beater. It's a stage. We try to peak for the important meet. What is our goal? Junior Olympics. So if Junior Olympics is in July, end of July, 1st of August, in that, so really, we're trying to peak 4 or 5 months from now or more, right? What are we now? 4 or 5 months? 4 months, right? From now. So it's a stage. You cannot peak in February and maintain that peak. And you see a lot of kids running certain times and then you realize that later on it kind of falls off. I was looking at Brianna's time this morning because that's what I do. I have nothing to do at 3 o'clock in the morning, right? And I realized the 14:10, I believe that she ran at clubs in the 100 meter, which is great. Just wasn't able to get back there. Not even the finals. Like consistent. Just wasn't able to get back to that form, right? So a lot of time we have what we call periodization, and what it does is basically you try to train a certain function, and if you take a month to train that function, theoretically speaking, it will take another month for that function that you have trained to really get to peak. It's like a one-to-one relationship, right? So if I'm done with my speed mesocycle a week before Junior Olympics, chances are your athlete is not going to perform that well, right? We ran last week in Jamaica. You got to keep testing. It's just a test. We look at these meets or tests, so we test today again. A lot of time, a lot of kids probably run their fastest time 2 weeks out after Junior Olympics. That you would think that is crazy. You spend 5, 6, 7 months training, you go to Junior Olympics, you spend all of this money, and you get there, and your kid is going to actually peak 2 weeks after Junior Olympics. No, that is just bad coaching. The idea is to have the kid peak at the time when you're spending your money and you have done all of this stuff to get there, you're taking off from work. Because I guarantee you, if you test your kid if you test 80% of those kids at Junior Olympic, 3 weeks outside, they're running their fastest time then. Because a lot of people get the periodization wrong, or they don't even understand what periodization is about. All right? So in a nutshell, that is kind of what the program is about. It is really systematic. We're going to progress you along the way. We're not going to bring you somewhere else. If you know, we can't teach you calculus before you learn algebra 1. It's just that simple. So it's not a matter of how important your kid is if you see certain kids working on certain things. It's just what the coaches feel is necessary and where the kid is at that point. All right? I want to emphasize again, I'm not one of those coaches that, oh, I've been doing this for 20 years, you can't tell me nothing. If you have a concern, if you think your kid needs more mileage, if you think your kid needs more speed work, I'm just saying, I don't mind you coming to me and say it, because I'm going to still tell you what the program is, what my plan is, what the program design is, but I'll listen to you. And 2 heads is better than 1, but at the end of the day, I'm the hero if she runs well, and I'm the worst coach if she runs bad. So I'm not going to go with your program. I'm going to basically still go by what my expertise tell me that is right and what is proper. But I need input. I need interaction. I need you to tell me if your kid is falling asleep when you pick her up from school before she gets home. If she's at the homework table doing homework and she's falling asleep over her homework. Eating habits. We're putting these kids under stress, guys. Stress. To improve any physiological function, we stress it. But in stressing it, you still have to give it enough time to recover. Especially when it comes down to nervous system training. When you do speed work, it's neurological. Certain things are more metabolic, more enzymic, right? So when we do speed work on certain things, you have to have the kid recover. I say that to say, don't leave practice today and then I heard you have her on the hill or in your backyard doing some speed work because you figure Coach Chris didn't do any speed. You're hurting the kid. So if it's something that you think that you want to introduce, I'd rather you come to me and I can explain to you from a physiological standpoint, from a biomechanical standpoint, from an anatomical standpoint, what is happening, and we figure out what the best thing is. All right? So, again, I'm excited about the season. I think we're going to have a great season. On the nutrition side, we're not trying to stress these kids out. They have to be kids. But, if you go into McDonald's 5 times a week, go 1 time or go 2 times. Just cut it down. I'd rather you not go, but maybe that is unreasonable. All right? Huh?
One pack of Skittles per week.
1 pack of Skittles per week instead of 4 like TT. Okay? I'm just saying. So these are the things. It's a collective effort, guys. It's a collective effort. Once the parents are committed, I know the athlete will follow. All right? So that's all I have. And again, we look forward to a very exciting, productive, and great season overall. All right? Thank you very much.